Hi guys, this is Sean from PlayByPause. As you might already know, I'm a Sony user, but I do use Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K for some of my projects. So today's video, I'm going to share a few things that I wish I knew before getting the A7S III and Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K. Something to keep in mind, this is not a scientific test or lab test, instead it's more into user experience point of view and how it works in real world. So when Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K was released with a price tag of 2000 USD only, I was so excited with it because I know I can film BRAW with such a low price point. But how good it is? BRAW is fantastic. It's relatively small when it compares to other RAW footage. It has a wide range of dynamic range. It's compatible with a variety of software. But if you are not familiar with RAW footage, I would assume there's a few fears in your mind, such as how do you process BRAW? Is it hard to edit in post? Do you need to convert proxy, so on and so forth? But honestly, it's way simpler than we would imagine. If you're a Premiere Pro user like me, you can simply download BRAW plugins, which allows you to edit BRAW straight from the Premiere Pro itself. It'll be much easier if you're a Resolve user because you just have to import and edit straight out of it, hassle-free. As for A7S III, there isn't any RAW internally, but thanks to Advanced Ninja 5, now you can unlock the 12-bit ProRes features when you pair with it. Recently, we shot a commercial using the 12-bit RAW, paired with the Sony FX3s, and it turns out pretty good. So really check out the video, which I'm going to link it above. However, it comes with a big downside, which is file size. 12-bit ProRes has around 70% bigger compared to BRAW files. But why? So we did a simple test, and surprisingly, the ProRes Raw has more detail and noise, which can be a good thing because it means that even it's 4K, yet the sharpness and detail is similar or even better than the BRAW. Besides that 12-bit ProRes Raw, you can choose 8-bit XAVC file from A7S III, which I believe most of Sony users are very familiar with it. Aside from that, A7S III also have a new format, which is 10-bit XAVC files. It's you can think it as a between ProRes and 8-bit files. The file size is manageable. It has more color data when it compares to 8-bit, but it's very lagging during editing process due to the unsupported decoding formats. So one of my solutions would be just create proxy before you start edits. If you're interested with the 10-bit versus 12-bit ProRes Raw, feel free to check out one of our in-depth review, which I'm going to link above. Another thing is size. The word pocket-sized cinema camera is one of the selling points of Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K. And you're right, it's a fairly small pocket-sized cinema camera, but it might not as small as you think. You are required to rig up the camera even though you're looking for minimal setups. You can always keep the setups minimal or smaller than this, or even go even bigger than this, depending your project on it. Some extra notes, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K has a wider design, which can be a disadvantage on certain gimbals. As for A7S III, I would consider it as a run-and-gun camera because it has been nicely designed for you. It comes with a tilt screen, in-body stabilizations. You can record most of the formats internally with the SD cards. It has a great battery life, which leads to the next point. When it comes to battery life, the biggest weakness of Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K is battery life. You can shoot 6K for less than 25 minutes before it runs out of juice. You can of course mount V-mount battery or like me use a Tuta battery plates with an LCD battery to solve that issue. As for A7S III, you can shoot 4K for almost 2 hours internally using the Sony battery. When we talk about screen, hands down the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K because it's better, bigger and brighter. It has a 5-inch Full HD touchscreen and the image looks sharp and color representations looks accurate. As for Sony A7S III, it's okay in terms of size and brightness. It has a 3-inch touchscreen, but the part that really shines compared to Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K is the tilt screen. I'm sure that some of you guys might be saying that you can always use an external monitor for a better viewing angle, and you are right. However, like I mentioned earlier, I always prefer minimal setups. And it's such a waste when you have such an amazing screen but you can't really utilize it in the real world. Something off topic, recently Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K has upgraded their screen to a tilt screen, something like A7 III or A7S II, which is a great plus point from there. Honestly, I really prefer bigger screen for Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K. However, when I'm using the A7S III, I realized that I always rely on the tracking system, since I can just simply single touch and activate the tracking systems, and it works fantastic. However, if you do a lot of pull focus, then Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K is definitely a clearer winner. But how about handling under real-world scenario? For example, a sunny day, you need to really turn on screen brightness to 100% for Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K. That will definitely diminish the battery life and you're still not able to have a visible visual. On the other hand, A7S III encountered the same issue, but you can always switch to the viewfinder, which I love it a lot because it looks sharp inside and it's so functional, so thumbs up for Sony A7S III. This is going to be an interesting topic if you're looking at budgets. You might probably think that the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K is going to be worth compared to A7S III, but that's not really the case if you think about it. Based on my shooting style, I like to keep things as minimal as possible because I always believe that the lighter equipment, the more shot you will get, the smoother the productions. So to break things up, the camera itself costs 2,000 USD, a tilted basic camera cage that comes with a handle and an SSD holder costs 250 USD. The extra battery plate costs 40 USD. The extra L series battery costs around 30 USD for each. Canon LP series battery costs 30 USD. A Thomas Ninja 5 monitor costs 600 USD. Samsung T5 SSD 2TB costs 220 USD for each. Bonus accessory will be a tilted nucleus nano wireless control system, which costs another 230 USD. Total cost will be around 3,430 USD for it to work. As for A7S III, it costs 3,500 USD for the body with a battery. Getting extra battery costs 78 USD. A twin pack 128 GB SD card costs 100 USD. And the total cost will be around 3,700 USD for it to work. These two setups is based on my needs and shooting styles. You can definitely go further setups or a least setup like what I'm doing. For the extra 300 USD, you can get a lighter setups, better low light performance, way better autofocus, much more stable setup since there's no cables around, there's no extra SSD around, because sometimes the SSD might cause some problem during the shoots. As for Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K, it costs less, yet it offers you 6K BRAW, better interface, mini 3-pin XLR mic input, which can be very handy for certain filmmakers. Another thing is picture profile. Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K does have picture profile, but they call it as dynamic range, where you can choose between video, extended videos, and film. Definitely go with the film if you're looking for the best dynamic range and best results. As for A7S III, there's various of picture profiles such as Cine 4, S-Log 3, HLG 3, and S-Cine tones. I won't go in depth in this video because I've discussed it before, so definitely check out the video if you're interested with that. So another thing I wish I knew is the 120 frames per second. Do you know that Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K has 120 frames? Yes, it has 120 frames per second, but you require some study and googling because it ain't easy to find the setting for 120 frames per second. First, you need to set your resolution to 2.8K because that's the maximum resolution for 120 frames per second. Then you're required to unlock the off-speed recordings. Next, change your speed frame rate to 120 frames per second. This doesn't stop here. There will be 1.6 crop factor in this mode. In other words, a 24mm lens is equivalent to somewhere around 60mm, which is ridiculous if you think about it. So it's definitely a big downside for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K. As for A7S III, you can shoot 4K 60 frames easily without any issue, but it comes to 120 frames per second, you are required to use a faster card, such as a V62 or CF Express Type A, and both of them doesn't comes in a low price. A CF Express Type A 80GB can cost around 200 USD. But not too worried if you are on the budgets. I found this brand called ProRes, and they offer a fairly budget price for V62 cards, twin pack 128GB, which only costs 95 USD. I've been using it for quite a while and it works pretty well for me. I'll link it in our description below. You might not appreciate this function, but it's very handy and I do appreciate it. The Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K allows you to change your camera settings while filming. It can be very handy when you decide to make some camera setting changes when you are recordings. As for A7S3, surprisingly you can do the same thing as well, because the previous cameras such as A7R3, A7 III, A7S2 can't do anything once you hit the record buttons. Another hidden feature is dual ISO. Most of the dual ISO technology happens in cinema camera lineups such as Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K. But nowadays, some of the small form camera have been using this particular technology. The dual native ISO technology is designed to noise cancellations when a high ISO is engaged. For example, if you're shooting in a low light situations and you can't expose for native 400 ISO, then you should go ahead and switch to a high ISO size. In that case, Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K would be 1250 ISO. As for A7S3, it has dual native ISO, but the second native ISO is variable depending on which picture profile you choose. I've discussed this topic before, so definitely check it out if you're interested with that. Speaking of special features, one of the things that I really like about A7S3 is the internal gyro stabilization sensors, which allows you to have an extra stabilization in post when you pair with the Sony native software Catalyst BRAW. In short, A7S3 records motion data as the camera moves in real world, and the Sony Catalyst BRAW use the data and post-stabilize the footage faster and more accurate. Frankly, this is the huge plus point for A7S3. I hope this video is helpful for people choosing between these two cameras, and this is not a which is the best camera kind of video. Instead, it's more into a sharing my user experience kind of video. Since I've been using these two cameras for a while, I totally love these two cameras. Both of them have their own pros and cons, and they serve a very different purpose. And all this being said, if you like these videos, give us a thumbs up, and if you love this video, please consider subscribe our channel and remember to create, learn, and have fun. I'll see you guys in the next video.